part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
This episode of Cavs on the Break NBA podcast is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Newark AutoBody. With winter weather and slick road conditions comes black ice and accidents. And if you've been in an accident and your car needs a little TLC, look no further than Newark AutoBody and Zanesville AutoBody. Safe, reliable collision repairs is their business. Newark AutoBody and Zanesville AutoBody is a local, family-run, and veteran-owned business serving Newark, Zanesville, and surrounding areas. And guess what? They work with all insurance providers to make your experience hassle-free. And if you're a U.S. military veteran, even better. Ask about their special discounts for vets at the shop, and they'll be happy to help. Look, it can be hard to find a trustworthy car mechanic, but the people over at Newark AutoBody and Zanesville AutoBody have you covered. They do. They care for you first and make sure they keep you safe and get you back on the road as quickly as possible. Visit them at autobodyofnewark.com and autobodyofzanesville.com to get your repair started today. You can find those links in our show notes. Their iCar Gold Class team of skilled collision repair technicians will make your vehicle like new again. Again, that's Newark AutoBody and Zanesville AutoBody, partnering with Press Play Podcasts.
How's it going, everybody? This is Ben Billman, the host of the Full 40 College Basketball Podcast. I'll be coming to you weekly with the latest news and notes in college basketball. We'll be talking about which teams are rising, which teams are falling, and any other news or headlines that are dominating the world of college basketball, all the way until March Madness.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
What's good, Breakers? That sound means it's time for Cavs on the Break NBA podcast for the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chase Smith, and with me, he's the NBA writer, National Basketball Association writer for hoopswire.com. He's our Cavs insider this year, national NBA writer, Sam Amico. Sammy, it's good to talk to you, my man.
Chase, how you doing? It's been a couple weeks since you and I have talked. It's usually me and John Sable, and he's got the week off, I guess.
Yeah, he's out tonight. It's like Kyrie and LeBron at the All-Star. Like, we're playing together again, just the way it used to be. Me and you.
Yeah.
This is it, man. Yeah. This is
Only
it.
You never left me because you were mad at me, like Kyrie.
No, never. But we've got you covered, just like the Full 40 College Basketball Podcast has you covered right here in the Press Play Podcast Network for your March Madness needs. Our college basketball podcast rocking and rolling through March Madness. Sam, how's your bracket looking right now?
It's actually
Thursday
not
night,
so
Friday.
Thursday night at the first day of the tournament. It's usually shot by now.
Yeah,
but it's okay so far. I think I have one loss. I lost the Kentucky game, which everybody probably lost that one.
I had them in the Final Four.
You know what? Last year I had Purdue winning it all, and they lost in the first round as a number one seed.
I have Purdue winning it this year.
So do I. I went back with them despite what happened last year. And then sadly, Akron lost. I picked Akron in an upset because
that's not good. That wasn't smart.
No, it wasn't.
You
they
picked
haven't
with
been
your
playing well.
Heart there.
I picked with my heart, but I picked Duquesne with my heart because
I did too.
Yeah, LeBron's
going to the Sweet 16.
Oh wow! Well, maybe they're wearing LeBron's magic shoes. They sent them those shoes, and but sure enough, they won because Keith Dambrot who's the coach at Duquesne, was LeBron's coach for his first 2 years at St. V. And then he went on. Keith Dambrot eventually coached Akron U, and he and LeBron are still tight. So LeBron sent them all shoes the day before the tournament. And
it's almost like being friends with a bajillionaire kind of maybe has its dividends.
I think at times it might pay off. I wouldn't know, at least not till you make your bazillion.
Oh, me? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Well, hey, this isn't a podcast about March Madness college basketball. Check out the Full 40 College Basketball Podcast right here in the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm going to put the link in our show notes, Sam, just so if you want to get an idea of what's going on, you can do that because it's great stuff. Ben Billman's the host. He does a great job. But right now we are 1 month away from our NBA playoff madness. And the playoffs, all right, for the NBA begin April 20th, a play-in tournament, April 16th through the 19th. The Cavs, Sam, have clinched postseason play. I saw that today.
Yeah.
They have clinched postseason play. Check that off the list. We did it. Good job, y'all. Whatever.
There's no way the Nets can catch you.
Yes. We have clinched postseason play. We're still fighting for the Central. We're still, that's still way, way in play. Two or three seed right now. If it ended today, if season ended today, the Cavs, Sam, would be the 3 seed hosting the Pacers in the first round. And what a matchup that would be.
Win. That's a Cavs victory. Last year, remember, Chase, I said, I don't want to see the Knicks. I don't want to, the Cavs are going to lose the Knicks. Everybody got mad. This year, win. If you play the Pacers, I might have if you have to play like Philadelphia with Joel Embiid in the first round, I don't know. But we're talking right now, today,
if it ended
Cavs
today,
would advance.
We are a game and a half up on the 4th seeded Knicks, who have won 4 straight, by the way. They're still there. Brunson has escaped injury, and Thibs hasn't ran him into the ground. Like, they're still doing their Knicks stuff. But the Cavs, we have a lot to talk about, Sam, because they aren't the healthiest, right? Right. They got Tristan back, who immediately broke Donovan Mitchell's nose.
Yeah, that happened.
Mobley is still out. And
Strus is out. Dean Wade's out.
And the Cavs, they had a spirited win against Indiana on Monday, which you wrote about on hoopswire.com, Sam. They beat the Pacers pretty much at full strength in Indiana. What did you like about that Cavs win in Indiana? That's a pretty great win. Good win for the team. Yeah,
that and the New Orleans win 2 games before that on the road to have that, to kick off that little 3-game trip. They lost to Houston in between. But as far as the Indiana win, I would say that's the thing I've liked about the Cavs all season, is they're playing hard and they're really determined. I've covered this team for a long time now, and I don't know that I've seen a team, even last year's team, play as consistently hard as this team does. And, they'll have some flat games, some stinkers. That game in Houston was one of them, but I can count them on one hand this year of games that they just came out and just didn't look ready.
I have a theory. I know you're shocked.
But yeah, I'm surprised we haven't heard it already. But I would say that's what I've liked about this team. That's what I think that they should like, is regardless of who's out there, who's on the floor, they've played with a great amount of determination, which in an 82-game season, if you can do that 95% of the time, you're in pretty good shape usually. Yeah. So anyway, what's your theory? So I think a lot of things can contribute to that. I think the consistency in the coaching staff, there hasn't been a lot of turnover. And so JB and companies been able to establish a culture and what they want. And I think it's been to the benefit of the team's play style. I think Max Strus has brought a level of intensity and professionalism. Not that there wasn't any before, but just a different type of attitude to the team that I think they needed. That I think Okoro has really benefited from. I think, he, and I know you're shocked too. There goes Chase pumping up Okoro. He plays hard, Sam. Hard on defense. He plays hard every game, no matter who he is assigned to. He plays hard. And, I think when you have one person playing that hard on defense who's actually effective, I think that can be contagious. I think Sam Merrill plays really, really hard on defense. I mean, I think he's a little more limited, but I think he plays really, really hard. And Jarrett Allen's always maybe not as intense as the others, but I think he plays. So I think you just have players that just play hard. And, and so that's just, I think, a couple different things that speak to Donovan Mitchell plays super hard every game. He brings it. He doesn't take any off. And I think that matters. And I think we're seeing that. And I think that can be contagious. I think it's kind of helped some of the maybe a little less mature, serious players on the team maybe realize, I got to get my poop in a group here because I'm the only one not taking this serious. Right, or I'm just not giving the same type of effort that these guys are. You see that especially with a guy like Mitchell, who's the leader.
Yeah.
When he's healthy and out there, they feed off that. And like you said, Okoro, Karis LeVert is another
LeVert,
guy.
yes, yeah, yeah.
You ask them who goes at it hardest in practice. The answer is always Okoro and LeVert. And guess what? That shows up in the games.
It does. Gosh, that just makes my heart so happy.
Oh, Isaac Okoro, Chase, up until, what is he, year 4? The first 3 years, you've heard me on here. I was very critical of him, kind of very iffy about him. And I think he's been extremely valuable this year. And that leads us to the next topic, which is down the road. But eventually, he's going to be a restricted free agent this summer.
Dude, overreaction or on point, his jersey will be in the rafters at the Rock.
Overreaction, but that's not an insult.
It'll be in the rafters in my office here. That's where it'll be.
There it'll be. Yeah.
I'll have a ceremony for him. I'll invite him over.
Right.
We connected at Media Day.
Come.
We connected at Media Day. He'll remember me. I was the one that was his only fan. That was me.
Yeah.
Like, hey, remember the guy that was like the only one wanting to talk to you? Yeah, that was me. No, but yeah. So I think it's not just one thing. I think it's a lot. It's a culmination of a consistent coaching staff, having a culture, Mitchell, like setting that culture and that tone, Okoro and Strus and LeVert, and just players who just like to ball, man. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I get a lot of complaints, as everybody who covers any sports team anywhere does, about the coach. And to me, it's like they were winning 17-18 in January without Garland and Evan Mobley. Nobody was complaining about the coach. And now all of a sudden they don't have Donovan Mitchell, and they're still playing hard. They're just not winning 17 of 18. And now I get, this coach isn't the guy, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, come on, cut them a little slack, because the playoffs are a different story, but regular season, they've done fine. They're in third place in the Eastern Conference, one game behind Milwaukee, despite not having Evan Mobley for like half the season.
Yeah.
And despite not having Mitchell for a big stretch, and at one point Garland for a big stretch.
Yeah, I think they're going to try for the Central. I think that's like I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see a concerted push to try to get the Central.
For sure. Then you get number 2 seed too, as well.
Can we talk about Bickerstaff's quote? He kind of made a little bit of headlines this week.
Yeah. I was.
Were you in the room when that happened?
Yep. Yeah.
You want to kind of, for people who aren't aware, will you just kind of tell us what happened and why it's made some news?
Yeah,
in light of the Shohei Ohtani maybe news today, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, what happened, Sam? You were there. Tell us all what happened. Pretend like I don't know what's going on.
Okay, well, one of the reporters,
who?
It was Jackson Flickinger, who's a really good young reporter who actually has done an outstanding job, not just covering the Cavs, but he covers every Charge home game too.
Shouts to him, man. Let's get him on the pod. Jackson, we'd love to have you on here.
He would come on. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met, besides you and John Sable.
Oh my goodness, your check's in the mail.
So right there we go. So he basically, Jackson asked JB, about all this gambling, and that's been going on, and if it's impacting what's going on with the NBA, and JB Bickerstaff said, well, I think that there can be some issues to that, because obviously now they're almost encouraging you, now that it's legal, to bet on these games.
Well, and the context is the NBA TV has it side of the game. You can bet live as you watch it on TV. Like, I think that was a kind of context of Jackson's question of, hey,
right,
like this new deal, it's right beside your TV. It's like right there.
Right. So, it's all around them all the time. What's funny? Mm-hmm. Before I go into what JB said, I read something that Tyrese Halliburton said, that people are sliding into his DMs and threatening him, and these are all gamblers, and then JB comes out last night and says, he received some threats and they know where he lives, is what they were saying. Talked about his kids. Yeah. There was that kind of stuff. JB fortunately said this particular individual, they were able to track him down, and JB made it sound like he wasn't arrested and there were no charges or anything, but still, he made it clear, like, this is added pressure, this gambling stuff that not only is the league and the media like ESPN and everybody's encouraging this because now it's legal everywhere. It's putting, and JB said it. He said some of these people that are betting are using the winnings to pay their light bill, or pay a electric bill or something. And he said that's a lot of pressure on them when they're gambling their money. Yeah. And so what's that do to us? He's getting grief for his substitution patterns and stuff like that. You're going to get that anyway from guys like us, normal fans, but you're going to get that from people who are putting money down are that much more intense about it, which, Chase, I don't bet on games. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I just have never been into it. It's just not something that interests me because I don't know why. It's just not my personality. But I know my nephews, they're putting and just money here and there. They'll put $5 on Harvard playing Brown, and they'll bet on, who's going to be leading at halftime or something. So I know that people have fun with it and they don't spend a lot of money on it and they don't lose a lot or win a lot, but it's just something that they have fun with. So, there's that element of it, but there's also this very dangerous, seedy side of gambling that we've known about forever. And it's seeping its way into professional sports.
Yeah. Look, it's not JB's fault that they're gambling to pay the light bill. Like that's a whole nother level of
not his
addiction that, people who don't accept responsibility are like looking for others to blame or to like, oh, if only you would have done this, I would have hit this perfect parlay or this, that would have been the one that I would have stopped. Like that's not on JB.
Right.
But that it is interesting. Like, is there going to be a tipping point? Like, at what point is enough? And there we do see change. I don't know. You seem to think that the league it's a troubling situation for the league in general, Sam.
Yeah, I think anytime you're just inviting these type of situations.
Yeah,
I think, where the coaches and players, to have two people talk about it in 2 days, to have Tyrese Halliburton bring it up. And then, after the game, Jared Allen, somebody brought it up to Jarrett and he kind of laughed. He said, yeah, I get people sliding into my DMs about this. And to me, it's just like, I don't know. What how do you legislate against angry fans? I don't think you can. Yeah. And if you're inviting gambling into it, I don't know. Maybe if you're the NBA, legalize gambling, but maybe do we have to promote it? I don't know. I don't know what the solution is.
It's at a different level than even like fantasy sports. Like you hear that in NFL season sometimes, right?
Right.
But this is a different level. And I wonder if we're not going to see any change, and at some points it's going to be like alcohol in sports, like it's just there, right?
Yeah. Which is another problem, but we've seen all the fans fighting. There's like a viral video every day of fans fighting.
Yeah.
Odds are you and I aren't going to duke it out until we throw back some suds. But then when we do, we might duke it.
We want to take a bath with me, Sam. What kind of suds are you? Oh, drinks. That's right. Yeah.
Drinks. Yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot you were innocent.
I don't need a drink to wallop on you, buddy. I'll beat you down, man.
Yeah. Well, I've been working out.
I'm a lover, not a fighter, man. I've never been in a fight, Sam. Never been in a fight.
Really? I was in 6th grade. That was it. I lost. Actually, 5th and 6th grade, and I the 5th grade, I think I won. Probably. I don't know. You'd have to ask the other guy.
Yeah.
But I think I won that one. 6th grade, I lost. I didn't really put up much of a fight. I don't think I wanted to fight. But I was 11. You know what I mean? I haven't fought since.
Well, next time I see you, watch your back.
Yeah. I fear, anytime I go over to Sables, because he's kind of an aggressive dude.
Dude, Sable's been in a fight. He's had to have.
Oh, he's had to have been in. He's probably fighting someone right now.
He's probably fighting someone right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll ask him next time. Hey, all right. So you were at the game on Wednesday. The Cavs lost to the Heat. Compliments of Terry Rozier. Sam, there's a lot of things I want to talk about that game. Most importantly, well, first, what thoughts on the game? You were there. Thoughts on the game, because I've a certain direction I want to go with this conversation, but I want you to start with.
I hope I can lead you there.
Well, you know what we're going to talk about, because we talked about it on Twitter. We went back and we fought on Twitter today.
Oh yeah. I know where you're going. I will say
Twitter.
this.
Yeah.
I will say this. They didn't play great in the first half. Didn't play great most of the game, and then they just really turned it on. You know, they got down by 11 and really turned it on, found some resolve, as they have often done this season. You know, Miami was terribly shorthanded in that game, too. They didn't have Bam Adebayo, didn't have Tyler Hero, didn't have old friend Kevin Love, didn't have Josh Richardson. And then you had that Orlando Robinson guy who's been in the G League that no one ever heard of come in and, you know, really play really good for them. Nikola Jovic, who is kind of the Sam Amico to Sam Amic's Nikola Jokic.
Just keep saying names like that. Just keep going. At some point, people are just going to believe any word you say, and they're not even going to check if they're real players.
I think
Jokovic, Knocker.
I think they already believe anything I say. You're acting like they don't. But anyway. So I did have a kid at the gym say, hey, he introduced himself, said, I've been following your work for a long time, but I don't agree with everything you say. I'm not always a fan of everything you say. And I was like, well, then you're not a fan at all. No, I didn't say that. But anyway, I'm getting off track. I think that they did what they did what they could do under the circumstances. They gave themselves a chance to win. And then, quite frankly, Terry Rozier does what he always does to the Cavs. He just steps up, made some big shots. He used to do that all the time in Charlotte. He's a reputed Cavs killer.
Hashtag Cavs killer.
And he did it last night, probably more than I've ever seen him do it before. And I've seen him do it before pretty bad, but last night scoring 9 points in the final 2 minutes, including a 4-point play.
Yeah.
And Okoro fouled him on that play, but that wasn't Okoro's fault. That was just a great player making a. Yeah. I don't know that Terry Rozier is great. Let me take that back. That was a guy who can kill the Cavs making a great play.
Yeah.
So I
over someone who's going to be all NBA defense, maybe.
Perhaps.
Anyway, you're bearing the lead, Sam Amico. You are bearing.
No, I was going to let you run with this.
I
know where you wanted the lead to be.
Yes, Terry Rozier hit some big shots, but you know who hit 0 big shots?
Isaac Okoro?
No, Darius Garland. Darius Garland.
Yeah, I know.
I can't think of one game, Sam, where Garland has come through in the clutch. Numerous times this year. He's
missed game-tying shots a few times this year. Yes.
I looked up some stats. It's actually a stat you can look up now, Sam.
Okay. What's the stat?
They have an award for there's a clutch player award.
Yeah. Are we going to do that this episode or just Junkyard Dog? I think Sable doesn't. He didn't give out a Junkyard Dog last time, by the way.
Hey, man, different strokes, different folks, different flavors. Like he doesn't need all the bells and whistles to be a great host. I like to.
I would have won the Junkyard Dog. That's why I didn't give it out.
Because he didn't win.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys are going to fight. That's like the third time you brought his name up. I think you have some unresolved feelings towards Sable.
We'll duke it out next week.
All right. So Donovan Mitchell's 17th in the league in points in the clutch. Obviously, he's the go-to guy for the Cavs. He's right behind SGA. He is great in the clutch. Darius Garland, 89th in the league.
Okay.
Best in the clutch. Snuggled between Quentin Grimes and CJ McCollum. Is your max guard, Sam.
Okay.
Darius Garland, abysmal 22% field goal percentage. Even worse, 20% three.
When What time of the game?
In the clutch. I think it's like final. Is it 5 minutes?
Okay.
Like within 2 points.
Okay.
Or is it 2 minutes? I should have like confirmed that.
I would guess it would be in the last 2 minutes or something.
Let me just see if I can figure this out.
I mean, that was a really, really tough shot to ask him to make, though, against the Heat.
Yeah. In a moment is defined to be clutch if there is less than 5 minutes in the game and the point differential is 5 or less, Sam.
Okay.
So this
he's
is
shooting
5 minutes.
He's shooting 20% in those.
22 field goal, 20% three, averages 0.3 field goals, Sam. The Cavs have had 24 games that is considered clutch this season. 0.3 field goals made in that time.
Right. Okay.
Averages shooting 1.5 times a clutch. So he shoots 1 to 2 times a game and doesn't make it. Makes it 22% of the time
in close
0.3 of a game. That's horrible.
Well, that's bad, but I would agree. There's been some times this year that I will say this, Chase, other than his rookie year, this has probably been the year that I've personally been the least impressed with Darius Garland. And I think he's done some good things. And I think that he's, you look earlier in the year, they won at Philly. Philly had Embiid. Cavs didn't have Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland was magnificent that game. He's had some games like that where he's been, I will say this, since he's been down and come back with after he broke his jaw and came back from that, he's not been the same. I thought even before that, he's making way too many turnovers again. He's a very good player. He's just not gotten better.
He's not Big Shot Bob. I have a nickname for him.
Uh-oh. I'm waiting.
Gonland.
Okay.
It's gone. Yeah. Any chance of winning is gone when he's involved in clutch games. It's gone. It's not Big Shot Bob. It's Gonland.
Too bad people can't see you right now. You've got this pose down. That's like, yeah.
Darius Gonland. Like any chance of winning is just gone in the clutch when he's involved. Now Mitchell, like we're gonna win. Like 17th, like he's among the all NBA players. He's where he should be. But not our max contract guard, Sam.
He's been a disappointment when it comes to matching his production with his salary, yes. And he's been, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm anti-Darius Garland because I'm not, but I just thought that he would be better this year. He's regressed this season. Now, I mean, part of that you have to consider the guy lost 8 pounds in a month because he couldn't eat. But part of it, too, is he's just, even before the broken jaw, he was his play was uneven for him, for what the expectations are for him. His turnovers are still a problem. I know he only had 1 against the Heat, but he could have had like 5 because he just got bailed out of them by teammates. I don't have a big problem with him missing that shot, though. I mean, that was 1 second left. He's 40 feet from the hoop, and he's well defended, and he didn't really get a good pass. I mean, it was a good play. It was a set-up good play. They inbounded the ball the way down Jared Allen.
5 minutes of clutch. At
last
any time
5
in
minutes.
that time.
Yeah.
This is a big deal because in the playoffs, you need someone else. In the playoffs, it can't just be Mitchell.
Right. No, but it can't even really be that during the regular season. But yeah, it can't be that in the playoffs for sure.
It can't.
And Garland was supposed to be that guy.
He is supposed to be that guy, and he's not.
It's not
gone. The possibility of us making Red Guy's prediction of it's gone. Sam,
yeah, I think it was if Mitchell's healthy. If Mitchell's healthy, it's a different story.
Yeah, but you still have to come through. You still have to produce. You still have to be able to, Like, I don't even think double Mitchell in the clutch. And when we lose, triple Mitchell, Okoro. I don't know. The optimism I had for the Cavs to go deep in the playoffs is gone.
Well, let me say this. Let me say. Well, I would say that too. I could see them losing in the first round, but let me say this. I think, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, they're better off with the ball, with Mitchell running point and Garland playing off the ball. The offense has run better when Donovan Mitchell is your primary ball handler. It's just run better. I mean, and Mitchell was racking up 13. And here's the other thing. It kind of runs better now with Karis LeVert doing it than Garland.
Yeah.
I mean, Garland, Karis LeVert had what, like 12 assists? Garland had 9 assists last night against the Miami Heat, but he had 8 of them in the first half. Second half, when it was winning time, he had 1. And, there's something there where he's just not being the productive point guard guy running the offense that he should be.
Yeah. Until further notice, it's Garland. I just want you to know.
Okay. Well, last year, if he didn't really even play that well in the playoffs last year, if you remember, but he did have that. He actually, that one game where he kind of broke out. That was, but you know what? That really was like a quarter of that series. He had like 2 good quarters in that series.
So that's was my revelation from the Miami game that
you were mad that he didn't make that crazy shot.
But it's been building. It's not just that game. It's other games where he hasn't come through.
Yeah,
it's
right. He missed a wide open one earlier this year from the baseline. I can't remember who that was against.
That was in this new calendar year. That was 76ers.
Could have been.
They beat us, and we had that comeback. I think
Yes, and he missed that corner 3 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He's.
I don't think he's hit one game winner for us.
No, not that I know of. Not that I can remember.
Gone. Chance of winning. If he's shooting in the clutch, it's gone, Sam.
Well, for now,
Okay.
Look, Chase, I'm normally the guy who's going to say, yeah, they're losing in the first round or whatever, but I don't think that you can even evaluate this team until assuming Mitchell is back and close to himself. I think the possibilities are potentially endless if that's the case. But with the way they are now, no. What your goal right now with all these guys out, especially Mitchell, your goal right now is just to stay within striking distance of the Bucks. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I think a new nickname to one of our core players is enough for this segment of the show. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about our game tonight against Minnesota and what the next week slate's looking like. Stick around. Cavs on the Break, NBA podcast. Sam Amico, Chase Smith. We'll be right back. Hey, Breakers. Chase Smith here. I know you're a huge fan of the Cavs, and let's be honest, probably any professional team in Cleveland you're going to like. And there's no better way to show it by wearing your team colors to the office or around the house. Homage makes the most stylish Cleveland Cavs gear, and it's the most comfortable. And what better time to get yourself a gift than this holiday season? Head on over to the link in our show notes to see what Homage has to offer. They offer a wide range of official NFL, NBA, and MLB licenses, as well as official gear from Nickelodeon and the WB. Yes, that's right. They do more than sports. There's something for everyone over at Homage.com. Personally, I have this awesome maroon Cavs hoodie with the gold Cavs lettering over the front, a Garland Mobley NBA Jam style t-shirt, and a super comfy Columbus Clippers t-shirt. I wear these items all the time, especially this new Cavs hoodie. It's warm, it's cozy, and I don't want to take it off. It's the best. It looks great. Check out the link in our show notes and get your Homage gear today.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tigers Powell.
And we are your hosts of The Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tyvis, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
The R&R podcast going to be rocking and rolling with you because football season is underway. College, Ohio State, the Power Fives, the MAC, the Browns. Michael Regai, are you ready to rock and roll with some football?
Kenny, I've been ready. This is our time of year. This is what R&R is all about. We're going to be with you every week. Kenny just said it, Browns, NFL, Ohio State centric. So you got to stay with us all fall and winter long here on R&R.
That's right. The Regai and Rhoda podcast coming to you here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Subscribe now and don't miss a show.
Hey, I'm Jason.
And I'm Gary, and we love ball cards.
And if you love ball cards too, good news. You just found your new favorite podcast. From breaks to grading.
And from collecting to flipping, join us on the Ball Card Show.
The sports podcast for the sports collector.
All right, we are back. Sam Amico, Chase Smith, Cavs in the break. Just really felt super nice to get all off my chest with Darius Garland, Sam. It was just brewing and festering, and it was just so frustrating. And thank you for letting me vent. And will that name catch on? I don't know. But it feels nice to say.
It won't be for any shortage of you making an effort
to
make sure it catches on.
What are podcasters good for, man? What are podcasters good for? Hey, so tonight, we're recording Thursday. You're probably listening to this on a Friday. The Cavs take on one of the top teams in the West, the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota. It's on NBA TV. And Minnesota's 23-9 at home, Cleveland at 21-12 on the road. So there's a lot kind of interesting at play here. They've split this season. Is that correct?
The Cavs beat them they've only played once. The Cavs beat them in Cleveland in overtime.
Okay.
Without Mitchell. They didn't have Towns, and they're not going to have Towns again. So.
Sorry, I looked at a game we played last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
113-104 OT in Cleveland. Anthony Edwards been in the news this week, just posterizing John Collins and just with a Blake Griffin-esque dunk.
Yeah.
Which was just like insane. What are you expecting in this game tonight, Sam?
Not real high hopes for the Cavs. Simply because Minnesota is obviously on their court. They're going to be more motivated. They really blew that game in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Lost in overtime.
Anthony Edwards shot horrible. Like it was.
Anthony Edwards had a bad game, but let me tell you something. You're going to love to hear this. Isaac Okoro had a lot to do with that.
Yes.
That's true. And
20 of 27. He missed 20 of 27 shots. Anthony Edwards did.
No, Okoro was all over him. Then they put LeVert on him, and they really did a good job. It's going to be more difficult in their building because he's going to feel more comfortable there. But with this Cavs team, I never write them off because they won in New Orleans and they won in Indiana.
That's right.
And they don't really get blown out. So, they find a way to give themselves a chance. They didn't look good against Houston. That's probably the one example of where it's like, if you don't show up, you're going to be in trouble. They didn't look great against the Washington Wizards earlier this month. And guess what? Still won that game because the Wizards stink. But, afterwards, JB was not happy even though they won. So they've had a couple of those times. As long as they do their thing on defense, they're going to be in the game. And they are a very determined and pretty good defensive team. I mean, you talk about, obviously, Okoro, Levert, but, you also talk about Jared Allen, who was fantastic against Miami, 25 points, 20 rebounds. He's having his best year. There's a couple off nights he'll have here and there, but overall, big picture, Jared Allen's having his best NBA season, even better than the year when he made the All-Star team. So, I think because you're such a good defensive team, you should be able, even without Mitchell, to give yourself a chance in most of these games. But Minnesota is going to be tough. That's a tough one. Then you got to go to Miami. On the bright side, you come back home Monday for Charlotte.
Yes, yeah. I want to touch about that. Well, then we have like a back-to-back against Charlotte, I think.
It's Charlotte. You got a game.
Charlotte, Miami, Charlotte.
Yeah, you go Miami. You're at Miami on Sunday, and then back home Monday for Charlotte. Then you go to Charlotte Wednesday.
You gotcha.
I think.
Yeah.
And then you're back home Friday for the 76ers.
Yeah. So the Cavs this year are averaging 37.4 threes a game, Sam. Last year it was 31. I would expect them to shoot over 43s against the Timberwolves. I think I've noticed a trend on the away games when they're kind of low, like they're missing a piece. I think they just spread the floor and get shots up. And so I'd expect them to be shooting a lot of threes.
Yeah, the problem, is it's not just, it'd be one thing if you were missing just Mitchell.
Yeah.
But you're missing Strus, you're missing Mobley, you're missing Dean Wade, who contributes a lot defensively. Had that huge game. Dean Wade thing is a mystery to me because he missed 3 games for personal reasons. And then he comes back, and now he's missing time because of a sore knee.
They're keeping him healthy for the playoffs. They're full angling for the playoffs to make sure they're full strength, and that's my theory. But
it'd be nice, yeah. But you got to win some of these regular season games because you got a West Coast trip coming up too, where you're playing the Nuggets, the Lakers, and the Clippers, and I think
Nuggets Sunday, Phoenix. Easter Sunday, 3:30. Yeah.
And then who?
I only went to that slate. I don't have. That's Sable's episode that he's recording, and so that'll be up to. I just have the next week's slate 23. Yeah, I think we're shooting a lot of threes, and I think they're really like, yes, let's be competitive and win, but I think let's make sure we're all healthy for the playoffs because they want to get out of the first round, Sam. Because if they don't get out of the first round, then some of that stability we talked about in the first half of the show gets a little shaky.
Well, I mean, then all of a sudden
they win the Central. If they win the Central and a first round exit, I don't think there's a change. With the coaching staff.
I think that you could, it just depends on the situation. If you're totally healthy and you have Donovan Mitchell and you lose in the first round of the playoffs, I don't think it's going to matter what else you do. I'm not saying that I think JB Bickerstaff should be fired. I'm just saying that talk is going to start up.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, is he the guy to get us to the next level? The NBA, any pro sports, but the NBA, very impatient. I wouldn't recommend, getting rid of him. I think that there's something to be said for stability. People, you say the same thing about Michael Malone. Well, he's never going to win the big series when he was, with Denver. They kept getting beat out in the second round or the Western Conference Finals the one year. But they stuck with Michael Malone for 8 years. Eric Spoelstra was under fire immediately after LeBron James left there, and they had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and weren't doing very well. And then, but Spoelstra's been, other than Greg Popovich, kind of the main guy in terms of longevity with the same team. So, I think if you're talking about Cleveland, though, you if they don't get out of the second round, then there's going to be questions about the coaching staff. That's just the way it works. I'm not deciding that. That's just the way it works.
Well, there's no questions about you tonight, Sam. You were flawless.
That's usually the case, but I just,
That does it for this episode of Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Thank you all so much for downloading and listening. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Shouts to Newark AutoBody Shop. We just love those guys over there in Newark. Thank you. If you're in the Columbus area, check them out. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Cavs on the Break. We always follow back. Follow Sam on Twitter at Amico Hoops. Catch all of his works and writings at hoopswire.com and at Wire Hoops. And all that what's that show called? You're doing another show?
330 to go, baby. Right. Facebook Thursday night 6 to 7.
Right.
Or if you're on 6 to 6:45.
Hey, come on, man. You didn't have to stop the show and I had to go. Come on. Did you get production notes? You're like, hey, don't bring him back. Is that what happened?
No, I was just like, okay, if Chase, we got to squeeze all this in because he has to get going.
Dude, 6 is an awful time, man. It is not good.
Thursday night's terrible. Yeah, Thursday night, 6 o'clock. The great news is you can watch it whenever you'd like.
Yes.
But that's just when you watch. That's just when it comes on live and people can leave comments in the comment section.
Yeah.
That are nasty towards me. And then we don't get to delete them until after.
Junkyard Dog Award, Sam, that goes to you. Because you never take a Cavs on the Break off. You're always on the break. You're always out running. And John and I get to kind of every now and then swap or do something together. But you're the constant, Sam. You are it. And so I give it to you tonight.
Well, that's very nice of you. While you guys coast, yeah, I'd like some kind of reward for.
Although if Garland catches on, I'm retroactively. This is a Sam with an asterisk. A Junkyard Dog,
right? Because you invented Garland.
If Garland comes on, if that catches on, then that goes to me. All right, final word, Sam.
No, that's it. I tried to look up their West Coast trip coming up in April, but someone kept talking, so I got distracted. But I know it's not easy. So they've got a tough road here, but I've heard JB Bickerstaff said. When I was sitting there last night in the press conference that Strus and Wade and Mobley are aggressing and they looked really good in on-court kind of work that they were doing. So maybe they're getting a little bit closer to whole here.
All right. Well, Mike Breen, take us out.
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.